Rational and Irrational Numbers, Lesson 1 Notes. Starting with the review. Take a moment, pause your video, and complete the 3 review questions at the top of your paper. Okay, now that you have finished, let's check your work. For number 1, the first number you should have gotten rid of was a positive 11, so you would have subtracted 11 from both sides. Then divide by 8 to get x equals negative 6. Number 2, the number outside of the box is negative 6, so you should have added 6 to both sides, then multiplied by the reciprocal 7/4 to get x equals negative 42. For number 3, you have a positive 11. To get rid of positive 11, the inverse operation would be negative 11, so subtract 11 from both sides, then multiply by both sides by negative 12 to get x equals 60. Take a moment. If you got any of these problems wrong, take a moment and fix them. Pause your video to do so. Okay. Before we start talking about some definitions here, I want to show you a joke. Now, I will be honest, it's not really that funny. I get that, but here's the joke. So, most of you should know that this is the pi symbol. Okay, that's the pi symbol. And it's telling this right here, which is the square root of negative 1, to get real. And then the square root of negative 1 is telling the pi symbol to be rational. Now, you might not get this at all, and to be honest, I know you might not find it funny even after you do get it, and that's okay. But I just wanted you to know that by the end of this lesson, you should understand why this is a joke, okay? So we'll come back to this at a later time. All right, now, these definitions should already be on your paper except for what is written in red for rational numbers and irrational numbers. So I'm actually going to scroll up so you could also see the definition that is on the next page for perfect square. So right now, pause your video, finish that definition, finish this definition, and get this definition written down. Pause your video and do that now. All right, you have one more definition to get before we can proceed, and that's your definition for real numbers. So go ahead and get that written down. Okay, now that you have all the definitions, we're going to talk about these ones. The natural numbers. The natural numbers are your counting numbers. When you learn to count, you didn't start at 0, you started at 1. So when you were little and you learned to count, you started with 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. So your counting numbers, again, are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the ellipse, which means it keeps going. Those are your natural numbers. Your natural numbers are your counting numbers. Whole numbers. Same thing as the natural numbers, but you also have 0. So in other words, it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. Opposites. We talked about opposites in our first lesson with integers. Opposites are two numbers that have the same numeral but different signs. In other words, 5 and negative 5, negative 20 and positive 20, negative 500 and positive 500. Pause your video and get all that written down. All right, integers. Integers is the set of natural numbers, their opposites, and 0. And again, we've talked about integers before. That's why this definition was already written for you. So integers include your negative numbers, positive numbers, and 0. Remember, and there's no fractions or decimals in integers. So it goes on forever towards negative infinity, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to positive infinity. Okay. If you have any questions on those definitions, please let me know.